most important thing is telling a story, and it's just the same as a film. And there's one big arc, and we're trying to tell a story with the music and Joe's character. It's a hard task to try to do a theme that's the emotions that everybody can relate to. So that was the hardest thing, was to try to write a theme and play it to David, because he lived this character for so long. So it's that's the challenge, is to try to have something that can just help the player have a story.
And I understand that you've worked with Hans Zimmer on plenty of other movies. How is the working relationship different on Beyond?
It's exactly the same, because you know, to us this is not a game, it's a film, and I think nowadays film and games we have the same discussions. It's the same as an actor. You don't look at it as a game. It's about telling a story. So doing the music is exactly the same.
David, many screenwriters find it difficult to write one good ending to a movie. With this game, let's deal with 23. I mean, what lens do you and the rest of the quality team go to ensure that they all work, that they're all satisfactory, that they're all kind of cohesive in the kind of wider storyline?
Well, that's always a real, challenge. I mean, as you said, writing one good story is already a nightmare. But what I try to do with Beyond is not to try to tell just one story, but to create this narrative space in which the player can really make his own decisions and tell his own story. So it's really a collaborative work between me as the writer and the player, because together we tell this very unique story that will be his journey beyond. But the main challenge for me as a writer was to make sure that whatever path you choose in the story of Beyond, it's a good path, it's a satisfying path, it's rewarding, it's consistent, of course, it's emotional, pretty much the same way. So whatever is your story, there shouldn't be a good and a bad story, there should just be different stories.
One key character that unfortunately couldn't be with us today is Aiden.
He's here.
I'm sure he's somewhere. Ellen, obviously your character is closer to him, it, whatever it may be, than any. What can you tell us about the relationship between Aiden and Jodie?
Well, it's an interesting one. And fun thing to perform as an actor, entire scenes by yourself that are often incredibly emotionally intense, and you're having a conversation of course, with nothing. So just that exercise alone for an actor is wonderful. And, of course, as the game continues, people learn more and more and more. And so that's about all I can say.
The theme of the scene is going to be vague.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I've noticed from playing Beyond and watching some of the footage is that you're causing players to kind of face a much wider range of emotions than they might encounter in most video games, including those that they might not actually be that comfortable with. Why do you think that the more developers and publishers aren't taking the same risks you are in trying to challenge players' kind of preconceptions of what they're supposed to feel when they play a video game?
Well, I cannot really talk about what other people do. I can just talk about what I try to do. I mean, there are so many emotions that you can feel in films or TV series these days, or in literature or in art in general. And these palette of emotions usually match the emotions that you can find in life. But games, for whatever reason, some of them really focus on certain emotions and not on the entire range of emotions. So what I try to do with Heavy Rain and now with Beyond is just to tackle all these other emotions, making you feel empathy, making you feel sadness, making you feel uncomfortable. All this kind of things is really interesting to me.
So let's talk a bit about the actual process of recording your performances. Willem, I believe you already had a bit of a jump over the other guys. You started in John Carter not that long ago, where you not only had to wear a performance capture suit, but also, was it 3-foot stilts you had to perform in as well? 3-foot stilts. So what can you tell us about that experience and what that taught you about kind of acting in this form?
Well, they were both motion capture process performances, but this was quite a bit different because in John Carter you still were filming it conventionally. You were still conscious of camera positions and you had lots of technical responsibilities. The way this motion capture was done, we had a playing field with basically nothing in it. 65 cameras ringing the playing area, and essentially we would play the scenes. We were given some geography, but sometimes we had the barest minimum of furniture, of props. So clearly you have to use your imagination. You don't have things to orient you. You have to make a lot of things up. And that turns out to be quite freeing, because with everything stripped down, all you could deal with was deal with each other. And the actions you were playing and the things that you were trying to affect in the other person or accomplish for your character. So that kind of stripped down approach for us was really interesting. We also worked very fast. In John Carter, you maybe generate a half a minute of material a day. We were generating 20 minutes of material a day. We were shooting like 30 pages, where on a big film like John Carter, you might shoot a half a page. So it's a very different process.
In that regard then, did you guys find some of your stage acting, classic theatrical experience actually benefited when you were acting in this environment?
Absolutely. I mean, also, performing this way without stopping, you can control your rhythms more, you can do the whole scene, which is nice because without interruption, scenes start to take a rhythm and they start to carry you, and you get momentum. And for me, just generally, when you're in motion, you're clearly more fluid and more receptive. When there's lots of starts and stops, you always have a little gear up time. You need a little movement to get you going. And working in this manner was quite loose, and it was amazing how with so little you can feel so free and so fluid emotionally and physically.
Now, on a slightly less highbrow front, I saw an interview with you recently that you performed at Comic-Con, where you talked about the kind of revealing nature of the performance suits. Do you think that maintaining eye contact with your fellow performers was one of the biggest challenges of your acting career?
Not at all. Like you said, it takes you back to the purest form of acting. You know, as a kid, jumping from the bed to the couch and not touching the floor. It's lava. There's no come out. It's just inventing it. Just a kid. It was so easy that when I saw that piece with the dots on their faces, I forgot that we had dots on our faces. When I was looking at her, I didn't really see the dots in the same room. I don't remember now seeing the dots. I better get in my eyes and stay there, because that's where it's at.
It's like seeing into the Matrix, you saw beyond the dots.
Exactly. Right past the dots. You can't hide anything in this. You don't even want to look at what's happening with this.
Ellen, did you find it important to form, or more important than you have in films, to form an emotional connection with the character when that's pretty much all you have to tap into when you haven't got any kind of physical reference to environments or even an outfit to kind of attach yourself to?
Yeah, I mean, you really have no choice. You have no choice but to really just dive into the process head on. And the experience as an actress is amazing, because as Willem was saying, we are so not used to tackling 30 pages a day. I mean, that is just unheard of. And it's because there aren't set changes, the camera's not moving, there's not a new lighting setup, you just go, 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 go. And with Jodie's journey and her story, I mean, it's incredibly emotionally intense, and when you're shooting, 4 or 5 variations within a scene, I mean, it is it's challenging. It's challenging. What's so great about it is you can't really over-intellectualize things. You can't think too much. All you can really do is give yourself completely. I mean, thankfully, I was working with incredibly talented people, and just is really about being present and honest and raw and staying there all day. That was about it.
I believe we have a very short clip that shows Ellen in action, a side-by-side comparison of Ellen in the studio and how it appears in-game.
Yeah, this is a scene in Homeless, where she's about to commit suicide. Well, if the player decides to play. And this is what happened on the set, actually. It's totally empty, everything is just in the mind of Ellen when she acts. So it's really all imagination, it's all about emotions.